welcome to the Wolfchase Toyota Insider on the Memphis Tiger Network. I'm Jeff Brightwell alongside Daron Schoenrock, and Coach, opening week under your belt. Went pretty well, a 3-0 sweep, and you only had to deal with the weather on Friday because it was pretty, at least the sun was out. I'm going to say it was not really nice. It was still pretty cold except for Sunday, but for an opening weekend, you got all 3 games in.
We were fortunate. Looking around the country, and you look at the number of schedules that had to be altered and adjusted, we were very fortunate to play our 3 games on 3 days, and which is the way the game's meant to be played. You don't want to double up and play a bunch of doubleheaders and have to travel and when you're not supposed to. A lot of teams had to go on the road when they're supposed to play at home, so very fortunate.
It's pretty nice as well, even though y'all had almost a 2-hour delay on Friday, and then it was a cold day Saturday. You had some nice little crowds out there for those games to sit in that weather and then wait out a delay.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with the crowds, Jeff, that we had. And a lot of folks want to come out early. Of course, there's a lot of parents in that, opening weekend want to see what the team looks like. But then we had a lot of saw a lot of former players that came by and, kind of poked their head in the dugout to say hello. And that's always very, very encouraging for us. And nice little crowds. I think when the weather picks up, I've told our team the biggest thing that they can do to control crowds is win games.
Yeah.
And that was impressive to see.
Let's talk about the ball games. You wait out an hour, 59-minute delay to start the season. You get a 3-2 win in Game 1. Bryce Speeder makes his debut on the mound for you and picks up the save in that game.
Yeah, Bryce is not a devastating anything. There's cause typically closers, there's something really unique about them. They throw real hard, or they have a devastating breaking ball, or he's kind of in between all that. He's got a good breaking ball. He's competitive, and he's a very good athlete. He'll handle the short game, control the running game, competitive, just kind of a free spirit and fun-loving enough to really not get too high or too low. So we're excited. We were excited to get Bryce in those 2 games, and very pleased with what we saw.
Come back day 2, the bullpen was big again for you.
Very big, and you saw a lot of pieces that come together that got. I thought Craig Caulfield's outing was outstanding. Blake Myers came in and got a 1-out in a closing inning down. And when you have close games like you're going to have early in the year, it's important that those guys do their jobs. Nolan Blackwood pitched very effectively in 2 games. Caleb Wallingford came out of the pen. So we had a lot of guys do get their first out of the way this weekend, which was good.
So Sunday afternoon, you come away with 5-2 win. Dylan Toscano had the longest start of any starter this weekend, 5 innings. And the starters this year, as you talked about, not looking for the 7 and 8 and incomplete games you got last year from the veteran pitching staff. Probably looking 5 to 6 innings this year, turning over to that bullpen.
Yeah, 15 ounces is a magic thing to try to get with those guys, and I think some of them will move past that on good days. Dylan was outstanding. He kept the ball. Dylan had to be. It just needs to be Dylan and not try to be somebody he's not, and he did a phenomenal job with that. He pitched in the mid-80s, used his changeup at the right times, pitched down the strike zone, eliminated freebies, made the plays behind him. So that's Dylan in a nutshell. If we can get that from him, he'll keep us in the game with a lot of teams.
One of your seniors played really big this weekend, Zach Willis, 6 for 10, including his 100th career hit. They got him a game winner.
Yeah, it's a neat story. Zach came as a kind of an invited walk-on, and not a real highly recruited kid, and saw the ability to swing the bat. And like most position players in college, they have a hard time sometimes boating their time. Zach did not. He understood. He worked, and we expect very big things out of him as a senior. And because of the confidence that I have in Zach this year, knowing what his body of work last year, gives us the ability to lead off a young Darian Tubbs that may or may not be ready for that role. But with Zach there, we can do that with Darian. And I've told Zach and Darian both that, is that to take pressure off Darian, we've got a very good guy hitting behind you. Just get your feet wet, because you can see what happens when Tubbs gets on base. He's going to score, and very electric.
Coach, let's go ahead and look at this week. Wednesday night, you'll be down in Starkville at 6:30. That was originally a 4 o'clock game, but they're thinking there's going to be some early rain down in Starkville, so you moved it back to 6:30. It's going to be a long road trip because you're not going to leave Starkville that night. You're going to just make it a long trip on over to Birmingham to play Samford, but Mississippi State, we know they're going to be good. They played in the College World Series finals last year.
Yeah, returned a lot of guys off that team. They've got a few holes to fill. They lost a real solid offensive player in Hunter Renfro and another solid player in Adam Frazier, and they're trying to looking at what they did the opening week, and they're trying to kind of fit the pieces together to fill in for those guys. But veteran pitching staff returns, the key ingredients of the pitching staff returns, and they were built on pitching last year. So big challenge, with moving the game back. The crowd will be a little factor. They draw very well there. It's going to be special for me to go back and see some people and coach in that stadium. That's a lot of fun, and Coach McNichol also. So, but at the end of the day, you tell your team we were 6-2 against SEC teams last year. Don't get enamored with everything outside the white lines. Do what you're supposed to do in between the lines, and I really expected that we'll have a chance, in the innings 6 through 9 to either win or to lose it there.
And this is the first midweek game of the season, so a chance, depending on how the game unfolds. I know Caleb's going to get the start for you. He pitched on this weekend, so not sure how long he'll go, but maybe to see some new arms out there. And you always use the early season midweek games to try to get some innings under some guys' belts.
Yeah, we do. And, we'll kind of script out some things with Coach Mack and I will get together and kind of script out who we can use when. Like to get, if we can get 12 outs out of Caleb, 15, if we can get in the fifth inning, boy, that'd be a blessing. And he's very capable. You saw a glimpse of him on Saturday, the stuff that he has. And, he kind of got a little fatigued. He's a little behind the guys in preparation. But very excited to see him in this environment. Very excited to see some of our young kids that are playing in this environment. And, of course, another day to evaluate our team against somebody that in the other dugout that you're not familiar with, and that's always a plus.
You're going to head to Birmingham this weekend. You're going to stay on that long road trip. You'll play Samford. You'll play Casey Dunn's ball club. They've come up here, got them a couple of years ago. You went there in 2007, lost a couple of games, but that's a different type of team. I was talking to Mark Taylor about the ballpark. It's a huge ballpark, and really the 2007 team, it was a power-hitting team. Did not play into their favor at all. It was just fly-out city. This team, hit-and-run type team in the gaps. This ballpark plays pretty well to your ball club.
Yeah, we should be okay. You saw us run into some outs this weekend. We've got to keep doing that. And similar to last year, but I think even more, we're going to gamble a little bit more because we have some veterans that we think can handle the bat. But that ballpark will play big. It's going to be a good series. They're going to return the series to us next year. So it's a home-and-home year by year. And Casey and I go way back, friends from. I actually recruited Casey out of high school when he was catching for his dad at Vestavia Hills High School when I was at Birmingham Southern. So I've known Casey since he was in high school, and very, very good opponent to play for a weekend series that'll get you ready for conference play later.
One thing I was looking at the numbers, they lost 2 out of 3 to Valpo, but if you look at their offensive numbers, they're scoring nearly 8 runs a ball game their first weekend.
Yeah, and they're having a little hard time figuring their pitching out. I talked to Casey, and they had a big turnover, and they're trying to search for some guys to get them into the 4th and 5th inning. And then, he said once we got there, he said I made some bad decisions out of the bullpen. So they're trying to overcome or work with the whole new pitching staff. And early season, you never know what you're going to get. So, but I like the confidence that maybe our bullpen gained from this weekend. That should be a factor.
Well, it should be a good week for you. It should be a good test to see this club coming off a 3-0 sweep at Mississippi State and then at Samford. 4 road games for them.
Yeah, back on the road. One of the good things about going on the road for an extended time period now is this club can bond and get to know each other, and that's also important. You don't never get to know anybody like you do when you go on the road. You can't do it. The way we live, we all live separately, and this is always a good bonding time. And I don't really take what they call a spring trip. It's just it happened to be not far from Starkville to Birmingham. No sense in coming home. Let's go over there and get ready to play a series. So it'll benefit our club.
Sounds good, Coach. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Jeff.
Head Coach Daron Schoenrock on the Wolfchase Toyota Insider on the Memphis Tiger Network.